The All Progressives Grand Alliance, one of the very few parties exerting political control over a state in Nigeria, has for some time been embroiled in a leadership crisis. Just this week, leaders of the Southeast chapter of the party rejected Edozie Njoku's claim to the national chairmanship, despite the alleged recognition accorded him by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The party leaders have instead thrown their weight behind another claimant to the throne, Sly Ezeokenwa, as well as Governor Charles Soludo of Anambra State as the national leader. This dispute has created significant tension within APGA as it approaches the 2025 Anambra governorship election. To help us get a firmer understanding of the emerging issues, we are now being joined by Sly Ezeokenwa, the factional national chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance. Good morning, Mr. Ezeokenwa. Good to have you join us on the morning show today.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Steve. I'm glad to join you this morning, and I think good morning, Adeswa, too.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, thank you indeed. Let's talk about your party and the issues that you've been having around the leadership of the party, APGA. You are an interested party.
Yes.
You are claiming entitlement to the national chairmanship of the party, even though a lot of people would say that both the INEC and to some extent the courts have recognized the other factional leader, Njoku, who for a few years has claimed to be the national leader, the chairman of the party. Where are we? Who is recognizing your own faction? And is this all about 2025 and the need to have a firmer APGA going into that election?
Well, thank you for having me this morning, like I said earlier on. Let me start off by, first of all, saying that, and we've consistently maintained that legally speaking, there is no faction in APGA. It's very clear. And then it's very wrong to describe me as a factional national chairman. And I will say that for a reason. It is tried law, and as posited by the Supreme Court, that national executive members of a party or national officers of a party can only emerge at a duly convened national convention of a political party. On the 31st of May 2023, APGA conducted a national convention where the current set of national officers of the party were elected with myself as the national chairman. That national convention was duly monitored by INEC, by a team of officials from the Independent National Electoral Commission, led by the then National Commissioner Barrister Festus Okoye. And INEC has always recognized this set of executives up until the 9th of July, when in purported, I use the word purported obedience to a judgment of the Court of Appeal, INEC decided, without any official communication to the party or without even any official communication to members of the public, INEC decided to change the list of executives of the party as clearly stated on its website to reflect persons that are strangers to the party. And I say persons that are strangers for some reason. Like I said earlier on, as of today, there is no order of court anywhere. There is no judgment of court anywhere mandating INEC, compelling INEC to recognize the said Edozie Njoku as a national chairman of APGA. I have challenged INEC on a number of occasions. If there is any judgment of any court of law in Nigeria which says that you should recognize so and so person as a national chairman of APGA, please produce the court order. Until date, they've not been able to do that. Yesterday we had a press conference and we challenged the commission again, because incidentally I'm a lawyer, and under the last regime I was a national legal advisor, and all the cases the party had gone through with regards to this issue, I am fully aware of them. The judgment of the Court of Appeal, which was delivered on the 28th of June 2024, affirming the judgment of Honorable Justice Madugu, clearly did not state anywhere, including the judgment of the said trial court that INEC are purporting to obey, did not say anywhere that Edozie Njoku is the national chairman of APGA. In fact, as a lawyer, if you bring the originating summons filed by the plaintiff at the trial court and you see the orders made by the court, you will see a clear disparity. Why they were asking the court to uphold that by the purported Supreme Court judgment, which recognized their executives, that they were still in office, the court did not grant this. And so one begins to wonder which judgment or which order of court is INEC purporting to obey. The second arm of this issue, assuming, for whatever it is worth, for argument's sake, assuming that there is such a contention, because everything with respect to this issue, as at today, we are fought between Oye, the former national chairman, and Edozie Njoku. All of us, Nigerians, are aware of the intractable crisis that greeted the second tenure of Chief Victor Oye, where some persons claim to have conducted a factional convention somewhere in Owerri. I don't even want to go into the status of that convention because as of today, there are two subsisting Court of Appeal judgments which clearly affirmed that there was no convention ever conducted by APGA in Owerri. Two Court of Appeal judgments. The first one was the Court of Appeal judgment of Kano, which was delivered on the 10th day of August 2021. Incidentally, all these judgments, I have them here. The second one was the Court of Appeal judgment, which was delivered, I think it was on the 9th day of September 2021. Incidentally, this second judgment, the Court of Appeal, was presided over by the current president of the Court of Appeal. And the Honorable Justice that delivered the lead judgment is now a serving justice of the Supreme Court, clearly stating unequivocally that there was never a convention conducted by APGA in Owerri. And like I said, for whatever it is worth, for whatever argument we are trying to make, in the spirit of just say we are making argument, the issues that bordered on the leadership of the party, which was fought between Chief Victor Oye as the duly recognized national chairman and Chief Edozie Njoku then, was for a definite tenure, which started on the 31st day of May 2019 and ended on the 31st day of May 2023. And that, like I said earlier on, for whatever it is worth, on what basis, which tenure is INEC recognizing on the 9th of July 2024? Is it a tenure that has long elapsed on the 31st of May 2023, or another tenure that is subsisting? And the Electoral Act is very clear. Incidentally, the 2022 Electoral Act made it mandatory for the commission of any political party that wants to hold any convention to notify the commission. And failure of that political party to notify the commission will render the said Congress, primaries, meeting, or convention whatsoever null and void. INEC is aware of the provisions of the law. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria made it abundantly clear that elected officers of a party can only serve a maximum of 4 years. Section 22, I think it's Section 224, 225 of the Constitution, clearly written. And all we are asking INEC is a very simple thing. Tell us the judgment of the court that mandated you to recognize Edozie Njoku as the national chairman of APGA. It's a very simple issue. Everything in this matter revolved around the correction of the Supreme Court judgment, which was, of course, made on the 24th of March, 2023. And what was the purport of the correction? First of all, you ask yourself, what was the judgment of the Supreme Court ab initio, and what was the correction? The judgment of the Supreme Court was delivered, I think it was on the 14th of October, 2021, the original judgment. And the judgment of the court was that the trial court, because this thing started from when some person went all the way to Jigawa to go and get an order to validate the purported convention of Owerri. That's the first place we saw a judgment validating that convention. And the Court of Appeal, Kano, set aside that judgment, as well as every order made by the trial court in Jigawa. And in the Court of Appeal judgment of Kano, the Court of Appeal made it abundantly clear that Oye was the national chairman at that time. And as such, it was wrong for the court in Jigawa to have allocated his office to another person without joining him as an interested party. That's how he became a party in the matter. And then the Supreme Court affirmed this finding. So essentially, the Supreme Court has affirmed the finding that Oye remained the national chairman. Now, the correction done by the Supreme Court subsequently on the 24th of March was with respect to the background fact. There was a place Honorable Justice Mary Odele, while trying to give the historical origin of the matter or the background, stated that the issue, whether the acting chairman and whether the chairman in our mentioned Oye, mind you, like I said earlier on, the person that was claimed to have been suspended at Jigawa was Edozie Njoku, not Oye. So that statement is not a finding of fact. It is a statement or an analysis of the background facts that led to the institution of the matter ab initio. So for there to be a definite or a positive order of court stating that so and so person is this or so and so person is the national chairman, you will see that the order of court is clear. So essentially, what the Supreme Court held was that the trial court had no jurisdiction. So having set aside the judgment of the trial court, it then means that the two subsisting Court of Appeal judgments, that of Honorable Justice Samani, then, or Justice of the Court of Appeal, now Justice of the Supreme Court, and that of, incidentally, the two justices that delivered this judgment are now in the Supreme Court, Honorable Justice Haruna Simon Samani and Honorable Justice Sankey. Those two judgments were clear and unequivocal that Oye remained the national chairman of APGA at that time. And so the question is, the correction made by the Supreme Court was, like I said earlier, was with respect to an error. In fact, if you read the ruling of the Supreme Court delivered by Honorable Justice Lawal Garuba,
yes, sir,
he made it abundantly clear that the error was committed in the course of the court making an allusion to the background fact, and went further to state that he does not see any way how a correction of an omission or an accidental slip will change the substance of the judgment already delivered by the Supreme Court. Made it express.
Yes, Mr. Ezeokenwa. So instead of us getting into the details of the court cases, I want to ask you a question, and I'm going to pose a question to you that actually the APC chairman posed to members of Anambra APC and Southeastern APC when he asked them, with this division, what is your bargaining power in politics? And I pose that to you as a member of APGA. With the division within APGA, do you believe that your party is possibly going to lose their only seat of power in national politics?
It is very clear, like I said earlier on, when I started, I said there are no factions in APGA. You cannot say that maybe 5, 6 individuals, because if you even go to the INEC website, you will see that they only updated about 3 names or 4 names. Meanwhile, under the constitution of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, we have 31 national officers. So that tells you that it's just the handiwork of mischief makers. And I don't know, the problem we have is how come they were able to get across to the commission. Some persons have been able to say, that the commission was blackmailed because of a pending contempt proceedings against the INEC chairman. That is an issue for another day.
So your position is that there are no factions in APGA. However,
I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that because you did ask a question about a division.
Yes.
That's why I said I reminded you of my earlier position that there are no factions in APGA. You cannot, because of 4 or 5 individuals masquerading as purported factional executive, now attribute that to APGA having a division. APGA is clearly one.
So do you disagree with the founding chairman?
And as much as possible.
Do you disagree with Chief Chekwas Okorie? Because he did say that there is a APGA faction.
Chief Chekwas Okorie is not a member of APGA. As at the last time we knew, Chekwas was a member of UPP, the defunct UPP. He was expelled from APGA in 2004. The Federal High Court affirmed his expulsion. The judgment was affirmed by the Court of Appeal. The judgment was subsequently affirmed by the Supreme Court. The judgment is there reported in the Nigerian Weekly Law Report, clearly. And like I said earlier on, you cannot arrogate few individuals masquerading as a factional executive to say that APGA has a division. APGA is one. Incidentally, like I said earlier on, the issue under context was a leadership issue fought between Chief Victor Oye and Chief Njoku. For whatever it is worth, Chief Victor Oye has since handed over and moved on. Njoku should equally move on. You don't have a limitless tenure for whatever it is worth, for argument's sake. If you say that you are the national chairman between 2019 and 2023, it has long elapsed. So you can move on with Chief Victor Oye. Maybe they can find a place and then continue the fight. But for us, APGA has conducted a national convention and we have a national leader. APGA is one. I challenge them, let them call any meeting. Let them call or probably hold any rally. And let's see who the members of APGA that they are purportedly leading are. So we don't have any problem. Incidentally, Chief Victor Oye has exercised his right of appeal and has now proceeded to the Supreme Court. On our part, we have written the commission and we've asked the Independent National Electoral Commission, one, either to show us the copy of the order they were obeying. INEC is a public institution. And under the Freedom of Information Act, we have the right to say, tell us the court order you are obeying. It's a very simple thing. I still challenge them on live TV. Let someone from either the legal department or any office come out and tell Nigerians that so and so judgment asks us, and they will read out the judgment of the court. I have every judgment with respect to APGA leadership case right before me here. So it's a very simple thing. You cannot just arrogate to yourself the power to just overnight change the leadership of a party. The Supreme Court has made it abundantly clear that the only means through which national officers of a party can emerge is at a duly convened national convention monitored by INEC. The report of our national convention is still in the custody of INEC. And if you look at the upload they made on their website, you will see where they wrote incidentally, or quite fortuitously, they stated Chief Njoku in bracket by court order. So meaning that they are aware that these were not the elected officers of the party, but that they are purportedly obeying a court order. And the question is, tell us the court order. It's simple.
All right.
So we are still waiting for INEC. Let them tell us the court order that they are obeying.
Okay, Mr. Ezeokenwa, two questions for me. You are the National Legal Advisor to APGA before you became the chairman.
Yes.
It looks to me like...
absolutely.
It looks to me like you pitch your tent with Mr. Victor Oye instead of, and not with Chief Njoku, whom the Supreme Court affirmed as the chairman. And I wonder why you keep... So sorry. I don't know if I can come in. You see, this is the basis of the error. Okay.
The Supreme Court never affirmed. I repeat that word. It is wrong to say that the Supreme Court affirmed.
But that's your own interpretation.
I have the judgment of the Supreme Court.
But that's your interpretation. The Supreme Court in 2023 clearly said that they corrected their error.
Yes.
They said clearly that they corrected their error.
Yes.
And that they were affirming
the error in the first of all, Steve, let me ask you a question.
Go on.
What is the substance of the judgment of the Supreme Court?
Listen,
you have lawyers in your organization.
I understand you, but
the judgment of the Supreme Court.
Yes.
The judgment of the Supreme Court was that the lower court had no jurisdiction. First,
yes,
the Supreme Court did not determine the right of anybody. So there is no way if a court does not have jurisdiction.
So why did they?
That's the end of the matter.
Why did they affirm him as the chairman then? Why is INEC therefore following
the Supreme Court? Did not. You keep using the word affirmation. The Supreme Court did not affirm him. Let me even tell you the background to that correction. Let me help you with the background to that information. Prior to the correction, there was a judgment of the Supreme Court that we saw on social media, in which Njoku was now listed as the second respondent on record. And there was of course, we wrote a petition to the Chief Justice of Nigeria. And the Supreme Court, in a statement, clearly stated that there was never a time the Supreme Court corrected this judgment, and restated that the original judgment of the Supreme Court was the one delivered on the 14th of October 2021. Subsequently, there was a petition against Njoku for forging the Supreme Court judgment. He was arrested and was charged before a trial court in Buhari, Abuja. Incidentally, the same judge. Now, in the course of that,
but that was also
that
was also dismissed, wasn't it?
Sorry, just in less than 2 minutes, I will be done.
All right.
Now, he now brought an application to the Supreme Court to have that error corrected. And like I said earlier on, I admitted that there was an error.
Okay.
It was in the course of reproducing the background fact, because the suit at Jigawa, Oye was never mentioned. The person that they said was suspended was Njoku, not Oye. That was a fabrication by the plaintiff in Jigawa. Incidentally, that fabrication was neither established or made an order of court, because the court subsequently set aside the judgment of Jigawa. Now, after the correction of the 24th of March 2023, counsel to Edozie Njoku, I'm giving you this information, the lawyers to Edozie Njoku wrote to the Supreme Court to commence contempt proceedings against the INEC chairman. According to them, that he has refused to obey the judgment of the Supreme Court. That's the corrected judgment of the Supreme Court, recognizing Edozie Njoku. The Chief Justice of Nigeria replied them, I have the letter, and told them that the court simply held, the Supreme Court simply held that the issue who should be the acting national chairman is within the internal affairs of a political party and therefore not justiciable. The Supreme Court went further to say, that's the Chief Justice of Nigeria, through one of the registrars, now went further to say that in the light of the above, there was no consequential order mandating INEC to recognize Edozie Njoku as national chairman. And as such, the INEC chairman did not disobey any judgment of the Supreme Court. Clear.
Okay. All right.
So where are you talking about the affirmation?
Okay, that's
when the Supreme Court has come out to maintain its position.
That's fine, but I can bet that you will get to know where the affirmation comes from when INEC responded to your position. But of course, that's fine. Let me have.
No, absolutely.
Okay. So the second part of my question,
I don't know, Steve, to help you.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can read out a portion from the corrected Supreme Court judgment.
If you can do that very quickly.
There's something I always say on live TV.
Okay.
You can't come to TV and then you talk about judgment of Supreme Court. It is written in black and white.
Yes.
I'm trying to get the judgment of. This is the judgment of the person that wrote the lead.
If you have to look for the section,
Justice,
if you have to look for the section, let's proceed because all the parties involved have that same judgment.
No. I am there now. Now he says after reproducing the error.
Yeah.
He said the next error said to exist in the judgment of the court is at page 13 thereof. He now said the statement. Now listen. He said, I'm quoting Honorable Justice Garuba. He says,
okay,
at page 24 of the correction, he said, it is plain in this statement that in brief, the court merely stated the fact and event that gave rise to and from which the third respondent as plaintiff filed the case before the trial court to claim being the acting national chairman of the first respondent, in place of the chairman allegedly suspended at the National Convention of the First Respondent held on 31st of May 2019 at Owerri, Imo State. Clear.
All right. Okay.
He said it is plain in this statement that in brief, the court merely stated the fact and event. I am a lawyer and a trial lawyer at that.
Yeah.
So anybody cannot begin to distort the judgment of the Supreme. And that's why INEC knows clearly from day one, like I said earlier on. This correction was done on the 24th of March 2023. They wrote INEC severally, asking to be recognized. INEC told them the Supreme Court never recognized you. The correction the Supreme Court made was in respect to the fact, which was deposed by the plaintiff. A mere averment in an originating summons does not translate to a finding by the court. It is simple.
Okay, all right. So
the judgment of the Supreme Court was that the trial court had no jurisdiction.
Okay, that's clear enough. But let me go to the second part of the question now. Where is Governor Charles Soludo in all of this? He is supposed to be the leader of the party in the state, even though the contentions have to do with who is the chairman, who's not the chairman. Election will come next year.
Yes.
It is almost 3 years that the Soludo solution has been on. And what people are interested in are Nambarians. What they are interested in is how well has Soludo performed? How well has this man who is ruling our state on the platform of APGA, how well has he performed? So where is the position of the governor in all of this? And do you think that all these distractions might affect, just one moment, might affect the chances next year, given that you are in the minority? APC has 2 states in the southeast, Ebonyi and Imo. Labour has one in Abia, PDP has one in Enugu, and APGA has one. If this continues in this manner, don't you think that any of the other parties, Labour, APC, or PDP, might use the opportunity and snatch Anambra?
Well, incidentally, you've asked quite a barrage of questions, but I'll try as much as possible and take them one by one. First of all, like I said earlier,
very briefly, please, if you can just, put it together in 2-3 minutes.
I'm coming. Yes, the leader of the party, Governor Charles Soludo, clearly knows that there are no factions in APGA, and he knows who the national officers of APGA are. It's not just anybody. That's why, of course, you are aware. It is not today that we've had this issue. In 2021, when this thing started, you remember that a certain person was uploaded as APGA candidate. And of course, we went to court, challenged the action, and the rightful candidate we nominated, Professor Charles Soludo, was returned as the candidate of APGA. It is not even an issue. It's just a matter of time. We'll sort out this issue with INEC, because we don't have any problem with Njoku. He is not a member of APGA. Our grounds and our issue is with INEC, and we are going to sort it out quite soon. The second part of your question is about when you talked about the solution government in Anambra State. And then I can tell you, just take a trip to Anambra and you will see things for yourself. So the issue, when you mention about probably APC having 2 states in the southeast, and then Labour Party controlling a state and PDP controlling a state, come to Anambra State. The question is, these political parties you mentioned, are they in Anambra? That's a very simple answer. And people have come to appreciate and key in. The statistics, the data is there. When the government of Anambra State under Governor Charles Soludo ranks #1 in terms of out-of-school children, it is for a purpose. When the government of Anambra State ranks #1 in the entire southern Nigeria in the ease of doing business, it is for a purpose. When the government of Anambra State ranks #1 in the entire country in deployment of digital infrastructure and digital technology, it is for a purpose. When you come to Anambra State and you see that the governor has won the champion governor of the year on infrastructure and rural development, it is for a purpose. So these statistics, this data don't lie. Starting from the governor's 5 pillars, you see clearly that this is a government that has vision. This is a government that has purpose. And this is a government that is clearly with regards to its agenda. And we don't even have any problem, like I said earlier on. APGA will win the election in 2025. There is no issue about that one. These things are just antics of the opposition. When you see them walking around, you see them in court, they say they don't see Njoku. He goes to court with some members of APC in Anambra State. That tells you he's a purported commander without any army that he's commanding.
All right, Mr. Sly Ezeokenwa.
So he goes to borrow people from other political parties, and that tells you that the sole aim of this whole distraction is to slim or distract Governor Soludo from pursuing with his agenda in turning Anambra State to a prosperous and livable society.
I'm afraid we have to go now.
I can assure you that the government is determined in its vision, and there is no doubt about that.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so very much, Mr. Sly Ezeokenwa.
Thank you very much.
The chairman of APGA. We said for a factional, but he says he's the chairman of APGA. Thank you for joining us on the morning show today.